Welcome back. As you can see, I'm joined now by the Chair of the Foreign Affairs Select Committee, Dame Emily Thornberry. A very good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Morning.
What do you think needs to happen next on behalf of the government as it relates towards Lord Mandelson's position in the House of Lords?
You know, I'm not so interested in all of that. I personally, sure, chuck him out of the House of Lords, reform the House of Lords, all of that's a given. But really, this goes so far beyond it. I think this is so serious. The idea that a cabinet minister is acting against the interests of the cabinet, against the interests of the country, handing information to a paedophile who is associated with the biggest bank in the world in America and telling them to mildly threaten the Chancellor of the Exchequer is really serious and can't be dealt with by way of just being chucked out of the House of Lords, in my view. I think that it is just one of the worst things I've heard. I mean, we've heard some terrible things, in recent years. We've heard some terrible political scandals. PPE, and which was wrongly bought, wrongly sold, and ended up probably with people dying. I mean, I appreciate that that's a worse scandal, but this is so deliberate and so treacherous that I just think, I'm of the view that the whole House of Lords thing's a little bit of a sideshow, and that the behaviour is so bad that it's something that the police should be investigating. Clearly,
the police are starting to look at it. They've said as much. It sounds like you think about time towards that, and we'll all wait to see what comes of it. It sounds like Gordon Brown is furious.
Yeah.
We spoke to a former advisor to Alistair Darling this morning who's furious. Does Keir Starmer need to be more furious than he seemingly has been so far?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I think the thing about Keir Starmer, as with many people, in the position that he's in, is that he's quite careful, wants to look at all the evidence, wants to consider a situation, but then once he's made up his mind, he's made up his mind. And so I think that yesterday the evidence was coming in so quickly. Every time I picked up my phone, there was another email. So it's not really appropriate, I think, for a Prime Minister to just respond immediately. I think they do need to, even in today's world, where you want to have a story every couple of minutes, I think that it's right for a Prime Minister to sit back and work out what the best way of proceeding is.
Obviously, as you say, new information is coming to light in recent days. Does it reflect poorly, though, on the initial appointment of Lord Mandelson as ambassador to the US?
Yeah. I think it does. But I do also understand it. We've got Donald Trump. Really, there's been no president like it. And kind of, what do you do for an ambassador like that? And I can understand why the temptation was to take a risk, to do something unusual, political, and something that might work, and someone who would get on with Trump, and that's in the interest of the country. I get all that. And I think I've yet to hear any convincing evidence that he did anything other than a thoroughly good job when he was ambassador, and that's important. But there was also a huge risk. And I think that it exposes the weaknesses in our vetting process and in our due diligence process. We had the Mandarins in front of my Foreign Affairs Committee, and we asked them what the vetting process was. And to be honest, it's so clunky and old-fashioned. It's like, it kind of harks back to the 50s, It's really, the vetting process is just like, well, tell us if there's anything that we should know about, and we will double-check it, And the due diligence just seems to be, look at open source, put it in a document, hand it over. They didn't even have Mandelson in to ask him any questions, which, we said in the Foreign Affairs Committee, this is a political appointment, this has happened before with political appointments, put the person in front of the Foreign Affairs Committee so that we could ask questions, because we would have Googled, we would have said, well, what about this friendship? What are you doing with this guy? Do you have any loans from him? Because you've had loans from your friends in the past. But are you implying the Prime Minister
didn't even Google?
I'm suggesting the Prime Minister is a busy man, right? And in the end, he does have to rely on other people, and he has to rely on the people who give him advice. And I think, if we sit back and be completely fair about this, think of all the things that are on the Prime Minister's desk, which is why politics is a team sport. and you rely on the strength of your whole team. You can't be expected to do everything. So the due diligence was done by the mandarins, the advice is done by advisors, and then you make a decision.
I guess where I'm getting to, a lot of people mention again how close Peter Mandelson was to Morgan McSweeney. If the Prime Minister is only as good as the advice he gets, does that final filter, perhaps the advocate even for Lord Mandelson, does there have to be questions of Morgan McSweeney's position?
I think that checks and balances exist and we should have paid more attention to them. I think that they should have listened to me when I said I want him in front of the Foreign Affairs Committee, because if he had been in front of the Foreign Affairs Committee, it would have all been in public and we would have asked him questions and he would have needed to answer them. He might have lied to us, but he would have lied to the public as well. And I think that actually, if you're going to appoint people in a political way, as opposed to a career, ambassador or a member of the Foreign Affairs, of the Foreign Office, then if you're going to take a risk, then actually one of the checks and balances is the Select Committee.
There's obviously the potential to testify in the US to the House Oversight Committee, albeit very difficult for the US to compel anybody to do that as a foreign citizen. There's obviously, as you've already alluded to, a police inquiry at least, and we'll see where that leads. Should there be anything else? Is there something parliamentary that should be triggered? Should there be Ed Davey call for a full public inquiry? What's your view on that?
I think this comes down personally to the checks and balances before someone is appointed. But I think that the biggest checks and balance is the conscience of Peter Mandelson. I mean, he knew all of this. He always knew this. It was open to him to say, actually, I don't think it's appropriate. I don't think I can do this, or I resign, or there's more to come out, or I don't want to embarrass the government, or I don't want to embarrass my friends, or I don't want to embarrass the Labour Party. I think I need to step away. I've made some terrible, terrible mistakes. And it was open to him to do any of that, But instead, what does he do? He goes, oh, I don't know. I've forgotten. Oh, who knows? Maybe, maybe not. You'll have to prove it.
Emily Thornberry, we're out of time. Thanks so much for joining us. Good to see you.